La, 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 la. Let's see if everyone well adjusted today. Woohoo! Hello, welcome to the shoulder series, just for the health of it. This is a video not only for new patients, for the public, it's also for my new doctors, because let me tell you, I get some smart patients, smart doctors, and there's quite a few people that have shoulder problems. Hundreds of thousands of millions, actually. So I would say that's pretty worth talking about, and I appreciate you guys are watching. It's embarrassing how much stuff is online nowadays, and it really helps when what you're watching is correct. So we've got a scapula, most people know, shoulder blade. This is your arm, right? They cut it off here before it would go down to your elbow, and this is your collarbone. So a lot of things happen with the shoulder blade. And we see this guy here. These are my grandpa's ties, bless his soul for giving those to me. He's a great guy. We used to make shoulder pullback braces out of ties, so I encourage you watch that video if you're looking for a shoulder brace that costs $0 at home, super effective. But let's talk about the shoulder. Patients come into my office from all over the planet, okay, other countries, to come get shoulder work because of my skill. So I spent many years perfecting the adjustments that go into the shoulder, because I've ripped my rotator cuff 40 times. Yeah, you heard me right, 40 times. Now all of them were mild, because every time I ripped it, I went to the chiropractor and got it set appropriately so it healed back to 95%. So even by like the 30th time, I was still at an 80 percentile and super strong in rehab with PT, and got ultrasound and laser and prolotherapy and you name it. If there was a therapy, I got it. I was a good patient. So I actually deserved to still have decent shoulder consistency after 40, malplacements and sprain strains and rips. I currently have had no surgery, and will most likely get stem cell next if it happens to me again, because I am not going to quit snowboarding. Those of you that know me know that's true. So when we look at the shoulder, there is a joint here, there is a joint here, there is a joint here, and there is a surface that goes against your ribs in the back. And this really tricks patients, right? You can't sleep all night on your side, squish your shoulder, put it under a pillow, and wonder why it hurts, okay? Now if you're strong and you have a lot of ligaments holding that together and you don't have ribs displaced, you're okay. But of all the patients that have come into my practice, 0 people have had a perfect joints in the ribs and shoulder. But between lifting heavy bags, which pushes the collarbone down, and a history of having a ton of old neck injuries, okay? And you see these little yellow nerves? They power. They are like plugging your TV in. TV is useless without a plug, okay? Your body's useless without a plug. I'm tired of arguing about that. Chiropractic and neurology is some of the most important stuff I've ever studied. You want your brain to be able to get to your body parts. That's established. That we're gonna move on from. The collarbone can be superior if you're constantly sleeping on your side. This rib can be superior. It can be jamming the neck at C7, which creates a lot of mid-back pain here, and then you think you got a rib out, but it's coming from here. Oh, and sometimes it's coming from there too. So you have 2 problems, and you go to the doctor and they find one of them and you're all happy. Well, it's not gonna cut it. You gotta get all the things that are working together to take the shoulder out, okay? So now, by the time the neck is compromised, okay? The rib is up, the collarbone is too superior, and this now has been on a computer working forward all day in the joint. So you've stretched the back out, so you have muscle spasms that are constantly in the back. And you guys could go home and do this for fun. Go home, find these little spots in the back of people's scapulas and push there. And I guarantee you do this little home experiment. 20 out of 20 people will tell you that it hurts. If you find one person that says that doesn't hurt at all, either you're a wimp, you're not pushing hard enough, you only picked 2 spots and you didn't really look around, or they're a freak of nature and you just drag them over to my office and I'll take a look at them. But really, I've been doing this a long time. People have trigger points in the back of this rotator cuff because we live in a world where driving is forward, sleeping is side, and way too much computer. And now we've got our cell phone. So if this is forward, and now all of a sudden we're looking at our phone all day or doing this all day, we have more imposed demands on the back of this joint and the front of this one. So that's the other spot. I'll take people's forearms, start digging in here, and they go, ow, 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 ow. That's 8 out of 10 people. So these numbers are so high because of what we do on a daily basis. This starts pulling on the shoulder down. All sorts of stuff starts accumulating here. So now you have this group pulling this way. You have the shoulder group pulling that way. And you got the ribs and the neck pulling that way. So this poor shoulder is just like you with 3 people tugging on you, and you're trying to go through your day. So we align the collarbone, we check the first rib, we go through here, we set the joint. Now what do I do with these things that are overstretched? Right? Most of us have lost weight and had some extra skin to deal with. What do you do with that? You patiently wait until it shrinks back down? I mean, once you ruin the consistency of a ligament, it is never the same, okay? If I were to break these bones, it would grow back stronger than original, okay? What does that tell you? That means a fracture has less permanent damage than soft tissue tearing. We have been minimizing our consequences from repetitive postural things to a degree in which we are confused what really matters. I hear it every day in practice. I didn't break anything, doc, I'm good. No, you're not. I would prefer you would have broke something because you would heal stronger in that bone than original. Now, all that force, I mean, a decent amount of force hit you if you think you broke something and you went and got x-rays to see if you had it or not, okay? And if you didn't break something, where did that force go now? Well, that's what we find out. We go in and we look at the ligaments here. Look at the ligaments here, ligaments here, ligaments here. Some people spread it out and they have mild sprains everywhere. Some people really tore an entire ligament on one spot. It depends on how fit you were when you got the injury. Yes, it depends on, do you do shoulder workouts all the time? You know, how strong is the bicep? Are you strong here? Are you strong here? Many people aren't strong in this position. So we go through and find what's strong and weak. What did you tear, not tear? And we look at the entire group. Now, we also look at the other side, right? If you hurt this shoulder, guess which one you use more often? Well, by golly, you use this side, right? So the left side now becomes overused because this hurts and it's underused. Now we have an imbalance throughout the whole system, and now this rib can turn and affect this side, and this side can affect this side. Now you've got what we call a hot mess. Chiropractors came up with a word for this long time ago. And you know, as humans, we don't do great with new stuff, right? When we get used to something, we hang on to it, and it's really hard to get into new stuff. Well, it's not new anymore. It's called a subluxation, which means when one thing isn't aligned and you've ruined the consistency of the soft tissue to support normal joint motion, then everything's messed up because the muscle has to guard it. So a lot of you have rotator cuff muscles that are permanently on now. They don't ever get a break. And then you go lift your groceries and you're working and you're doing a bunch of stuff. That's another demand, another demand, another demand, another demand, and then it breaks. And patients come in and go, it's so weird. It just happened out of the blue. And it's not weird to us because we've been watching you accumulate the demands on your body without giving it the appropriate maintenance. It's not your fault because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. In fact, most patients don't know that they need to come in before they hurt anyway. In fact, I've been to many chiropractor offices that don't recommend checkups before they get entered. I mean, last time I checked, a dentist is a real jerk if they don't say come in for cleanings. If they just say come in when you get all your cavities, because people are going to have 18 times more cavities, and that's just going to make the dentist rich. So that's really how I feel about joint work. If we don't get the message out here that you want to regularly line up these joints and strengthen the muscles so that you can handle the demand you put on there, and that you're not creating weird patterns that now become excessively weak and permanently not available for you And permanent muscle tension is why we pull muscles. It doesn't satisfy me as a patient. You know, I went to many doctors when I first started getting my shoulder problems, because as a teenager, as a snowboard instructor, when I first started out. And they would say, oh yeah, you're gonna have problems with this, you know, put some ice on it and it'll go away on its own. That is a terrible answer. It didn't tell me what was going on. It doesn't explain what's going on. And you're literally preparing me to have the problem again in the future, which means you definitely didn't address it. So that type of recommendation, I crumpled away like toilet paper and went to the next office where somebody was a little bit smarter and had a better understanding of what was going on, that could give me the understanding and actually add up by being a results-driven individual. So I kept going to offices and finding doctors that knew what they were doing based on the results that they got with me, okay? So one of my doctors was a super specialist and told me, you know, this has been here a while, I need to adjust it 8 to 12 times, really keep it aligned, give the tissue time to regrow, and then your job is to heal and strengthen, and you could do that wrong, and you could do that right. So if I just go to the gym and start doing whatever shoulder exercises I know or Google something, that's not the right way to do shoulder rehab. Actually identifying what muscles are weak and which ones are strong and which ones are busy, right? Because some muscles aren't available for you to use, so they can test weak, but really they're just trying to hold you together. They're acting like that ligament that's been torn. So there's a lot of providers out there illegitimately describing that muscle as weak. But if I give you 3 jobs and you're having a hard time in the third one because you're working so hard the first and second job, are you lazy? Are you a bad worker? Not really. So remember, when you're putting your health team together, and remember, if you're a physician, this is what the patient is experiencing when they come see us. This is what you're experiencing as a patient when you go see other providers, as you go through this in life. Sometimes what we're taught is only the beginning of what's actually going on. And we all know that. I mean, we all own one of these amazing machines, the human body, and every year we learn that it was awesome all on its own. And every year we learn that whatever we've been up to could have been better. And what we learn is, wow, there's things going on the microscopic level we haven't been able to identify yet. So if you're a provider and you think you know everything, you're in trouble. And if you're a patient who is satisfied with these minimal answers without results, then you're in trouble too. Because your body will fall apart. And it's going to be so weird for you, and you're not going to understand when it fails for you in an important scenario. You know, patients say, I was at work and I had to leave, or I couldn't watch my kids anymore. I can't, that stuff breaks my heart. There's absolutely no way I can live in this world without helping people through that. That you guys must get back to what is important to you. That's what life's all about. So I want you all to know that whatever you think you're stuck with, we can have a positive impact on. One way or another, we can make some headway, because I guarantee you didn't have all that done on the right time. Some of it might be semi-permanent, but there's a lot of good we can do. There's way more than I even discussed today. I just really want you educated so that you know how cool your body is, and you understand a little bit more about the shoulder and how there's so many parts to it, and how all of its neighbors really count and matter a ton. So that's the shoulder. Bye guys. If you're interested in other body parts, check them out. We're going to go through all of them. Aloha.